I spent some time putting the Yeryork YE006 pressure washer to work around my house. From washing my Jeep to an old fence, let's see what this compact pressure washer can do. Alright guys, today we're going to test out this pressure washer from Yeryork. It's model number YE006. This unit is much smaller than most of the electric units I've seen before. They sent this out to me to test out. At the end of the video, I will discuss the pros and cons and how I actually feel about it. So I have a timer over here, and I'm going to time the whole process, start to finish, unboxing, assembly, and plugging in and connecting the hose. Got some screws and instructions, and possibly some replacement O-rings, which is nice. I'm sure there's some installed, but these can go bad over time. They dry rot and crack. Got the 4 nozzles that it comes with. Got the 4 wheels that it has. The gun. Got the unit itself. The washer hose. And the foam cannon, which is very nice that it comes with one. You can buy these separately. I have one for my other pressure washer, but we'll give this a test. All right, so we're about 3 minutes in. We got everything out of the box. This is everything that was in there. Now we're going to go through the instructions and figure out how to put it all together. I'm very impressed with the size of this unit. I'll show you my actual pressure washer that I use normally and show you how that looks comparatively. This is quite small. So it's nice, attached to the manual was this cleaning pin to clean out the nozzles if they get plugged with anything. So you'd stick it down in the hole. Not that it fits. It's a little big for that, actually. Fits in the 15. So we got the gun holder. That's just going to slide over here. We got the cord holder. That slides on this side. And the hose holder is going to go on the back and get screwed in. So it's going to go in there. So it comes with 5 screws, and they're all the same. Phillips head. Put the screws in the back. It's 2 down. I lied, there were 6 screws in the bag. Each wheel gets its own screw. So I'm gonna slide these in the corners like that. Drop a screw in each hole and tighten them down. I got the cord holder on this side, hose holder in the back. Now we take the gun. This is all plastic. The wand itself is supposed to be made of stainless steel, which will hold up better than plastic will. I'm going to stick that in and give it a twist, and now it is locked in there, so you can easily disassemble the piece. And here's an O-ring. I'm guessing those are what the replacements are for, because that could leak. When you're storing the gun, you can disassemble that. Stick this down in there, snap this into here, and now it's a nice compact unit. The wand has storage for each of the nozzles, so you can conveniently have them wherever you're standing and pressure washing. Like so. Something I didn't see in the garage is that it has a screened washer down here, which is really nice because you want to keep all of the debris you can out of the system and going through the pressure hose and clogging the tip of your nozzles. So by having this screen in there, that will help a great deal, especially if something gets in your garden hose. Now, anybody that's been watching my channel for a while knows that I like to use quick connects. These are from Melnor. I put them on all of my garden accessories, my sprinklers, my nozzles. I have them on my pressure washer. It just makes it way easier to disconnect and connect the hose whenever I need it. So I'm going to install one of these on the back here. Make sure it gets a good seal. I put a wrench on it. It's got little flat edges to put a wrench on. Now when I want to connect the garden hose, I just click that on. This can be full of water pressure and it won't come out of here until it connects to that other side. Now on the front, we've got where the pressure hose goes in. It's got a little plastic cap on it. Take that off. It comes from the factory. And then you'll see this has an O-ring, probably the ones that we get in the package. And that just goes inside there and makes a nice seal. And then this outer part will screw on the outside threads, making a nice tight connection. Now that went in pretty easy, but sometimes those O-rings will swell up a little bit and it'll be a little harder to push in. But maybe just because it's the first time, it was no problem. Get that nice and tight. And I already ran this into the garage. We'll go plug that in. And as you can see, we're at almost exactly 13 minutes for unboxing, putting it together, and bringing it outside and setting it up. So not too bad. You know, if you take out filming and me talking a bunch, you probably cut it down to 9 or 10 minutes. Start to finish, brand new to ready to use. So this unit comes with an electric motor rated at 2.5 gallons per minute. It comes with 4 pressure washing nozzles. We have 0, 15, 25, and 40 degrees. And those are all going to give you different pressure, and you're going to use those for different types of jobs, and we'll cover that later. It also comes with this foam cannon that I will use to spray foam onto my Jeep for washing, but it can be used with other detergents for coating, you know, like lawn furniture, things like that, that you want to pre-soak in some sort of detergent. You can see I've got my long tape measure set up here, so let's go see where we're at. And here's the power cord. You can see it is just shy of 20 feet. And now the hose. Well, the hose is past 33 feet. So rounding out the features of this pressure washer are we have a nice hook over here for the extension cord when you wrap it up, a hook for the hose when you wrap it up, and then we've got the gun holster to keep that all together. It has locking wheels. All 4 wheels lock by pushing down on this. That keeps that from turning. That'll keep it from moving too much, but from experience, because it's only a 33-foot hose and walking around your car is, you know, a lot more, it might actually be nice that this kind of follows you like a shop vac versus a stationary pressure washer that would just tip over if you pulled on it too hard. And then it does have 4 casters that stick out pretty far, which is going to keep it from tipping over too much. It's got a nice low center of gravity, so I can already tell that that would be really hard to pull over. You'd have to really yank on it and give it a good pull. So we're going to start with washing my Jeep, because washing vehicles is originally why I bought an electric pressure washer to begin with. About 8 years ago, I bought this Sunjo model. The idea behind using the pressure washer is that the foam soap that you spray on with the foam cannon is going to break down the dirt and the gritty dirt that is on the paint surface, kind of like when you're washing dishes with dish soap. It just lubricates the dirt and makes it easier to lift off. And then when you follow it with the pressure washer, it gets the vast majority off of it. So then when you go and hand wash, you're not grinding that dirt into the paint, causing swirl marks you'll see on a lot of people's cars. This has done an excellent job. I assume this one is going to do basically the same job, but you can see the size difference. This is so much larger than that one. This is heavier, that's lighter. Now this is the foam cannon that came with this new pressure washer, and this is the cheap one I bought on Amazon years ago, and this has worked for 8 years, so it was the cheapest one I could find, and it continues to work. This is my favorite car wash to use in the foam cannon. It's a Chemical Guys snow foam. This is the honeydew scent. It smells good while you're using it, and it leaves a nice foamy coating on the car that helps break down that dirt. I also use this in my bucket of water when I'm hand washing afterwards. Now, if you use this every week to 2 weeks throughout the summer, along with your pressure washer, and you hand dry the car afterward, you probably don't need to hand wash it. I just don't seem to follow that method. I just don't seem to get out and do it often enough, and it still needs a hand washing. No matter how high of a pressure you apply, some of that dirt is just not going to come off without some physical elbow grease going into it. So, but if you did use this every 2 weeks, I'm confident that you could get away with just pressure washing and hand drying after. This leaves a very almost spot-free surface. This is great. This is the only soap I use, and it's the only soap I need to buy. But I love this stuff and highly recommend it. So we're going to get the cap off. It's just a nice, easy twist lock. That's nice. The other one I have, you know, with threads and threads and threads. So this is your pickup tube. So this bottle says 1 to 2 ounces. In here, I'm probably going to do 2 ounces, but that's probably a little too much. This does not come in ounce graduations. It's 100 milliliter, 300, and 500 up here. And I believe 100 milliliters is like close to 4 ounces. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it halfway up to this first graduation. Made a little mess. No problem. All right, now I need to fill this with water. Now you're supposed to use warm water. I figure any water that's in the garden hose is already going to be fairly warm. This does sud, you know, pretty well. That's the whole point of it. What I like to do is turn the garden hose on to the pressure washer, but not turn on the pressure washer, and just use the water pressure through the pressure washer itself. It creates a nice small stream that I can fill this up real easy with. All right, I've got the trigger handle, and I've got the lance or wand. They call it a lance in the book. I'm going to put it in like this. I'm going to push in and turn clockwise, and now it's locked in. Before you turn the water on, take your cap off the gun, and we're going to connect the hose the same way we did to the machine. So I'm just going to push this in and then tighten this down. You can see the water coming out there. I'm just going to kind of flush the hose a little bit, just in case there's any contaminants in there from manufacturing. Looks pretty good. I'm just going to fill up my foam cannon, kind of rinse off some of that soap. All right, we're nice and full. Put it in, turn it to the right. That's good to go. You'll notice that this is the same setup as the lance on the spray gun. So that whole lance and steel tube comes off when this connects, and it connects to the shorter end, the trigger portion of the gun. Push in, counterclockwise, pull out, and then this will be the same. Put it in, push, clockwise, and now my cannon is ready to go. So this does not seal well, and I just spilled half my soap onto the driveway. So, word of warning, don't lay this down on its side. I guess you could rest it on the cord holder like that. That would work. Now I know not to do that again. So for this demonstration, we're just going to clean the back of my Jeep here. I don't know if you can see how dirty it is. Been waiting to wash it to make this video. So all we got to do is turn the pressure washer. It says it's on off. We got to turn it to on. All right, see how it's shut off? That means that the hose is fully pressurized now. And we can start using the cannon. All right, here we go. Now, one benefit to the pressure washer that I currently use and the foam cannon I currently use is I can dial in the amount of water that is being sucked up from the foam cannon, and I can't do that on this one. And as a result, it's not leaving a nice thick foam like it should. you know, this is still going to get the job done. And maybe it's better. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you don't want a thick foam, but I want it to like kind of sit on the paint more than it is. It goes on pretty nice. It feels nice in your hand. It's not very heavy, which is great, especially if you're, you know, when this foam canning is full of water like my other one, it gets really hard to hold up with one hand. But you can do it fine with this. All right, now I'm going to disconnect the foam cannon, push in counterclockwise, reconnect the lance, push in clockwise. Now I want to use the widest angle, so 40 degrees. You don't want to use the really aggressive nozzles on your car paint. If you have any loose paint or paint chips, it's just going to get under that. You know, if you have any loose paint, you probably don't want to pressure wash at all, to be honest with you. You don't, or at least stay away from that area. You're going to want to pull back on this collar, insert the nozzle, and now that is in there pretty well. You can see that. Can't tell if it's focusing, it's too bright out here. Again, I've got the white 40-degree tip on here, and now I'm just going to pressure wash this soap off. You don't want this to dry on your car if you can avoid it. It's pretty hot out today. Normally I would soap the whole car and then pressure wash, but I need to get this soap off before it dries on there. Then you want to start at the top and work your way down. You see these suds though? They'll keep coming out of cracks and whatnot. There's not enough volume of water coming out of the pressure washer itself to really give it a good rinse. So after I've gone over every inch with the pressure washer, I like to hit it with the hose nozzle and just rinse off any remaining suds if I can. This is another reason I like to use the quick connects. I just pop this right off the pressure washer instead of having to unscrew the hose. And now I've got my nozzle with the other quick connect on it and ready to go. The soap really gets into all the nooks and crannies, so that's going to dry pretty fast. I'm going to hit it with a towel to clean that back window before it leaves water spots. I'm a big fan of these products, the absorber. I've had this one for 16 years. If you take care of it, it'll last you a lifetime. It's as good as the day it was brand new, I promise. It's just a synthetic, I guess, chamois. You keep it wet. It's always wet. I haven't used it in months, I don't think, and it's still wet. And I rinse it every time I use it. I rinse it in the sink, or I fill up my wash bucket, and I just keep rinsing it with clean water until I feel like I've got the bulk of the dirt out of it. So I'm just going to go over the window real fast. Make sure you wring all the water out of it because it's going to absorb more. But the window is way cleaner than it was. The foam cannon did exactly what it was supposed to. It dispersed the soap all over the vehicle, and then I was able to follow it up with the pressure washer to rinse it and get most of that dirt, that gritty dirt, off of the paint, so that when I do hand wash it, I'm not grinding it into the clear coat. Would I have liked to have seen a little more foam come out of it? Yeah, I probably would prefer that, but for what it did, it's better than having nothing, and it's very convenient that it attaches to the gun so easily. I'm going to go ahead and do the whole car that way, and we'll see how it looks when it's dry. So I've got these 4 pavers that have been sitting stacked behind my garage for several years, and we're going to do each one with a different nozzle, half of it. So I'm going to do 40, 25, 15, and then 0, getting more powerful as we go. And we'll do half, and then we'll let them dry and see how they turned out. So this is 40. The nice thing about the 40 is it has a lot of coverage, but results in less power. Alright, next we're going to try the 25 degree. Grab the 25. Well, that went considerably faster. Let's move on to the next one. So this one's going to be the 15 degree. You'll notice it's really tough to get into all these little nooks and crannies down in here in these cracks. This mossy stuff doesn't love to come off, but if you get close, you can get it. It just takes more time. But we're trying to stay consistent between all the nozzles. Alright, this is 0 degree. We haven't used this one yet. This is going to be a very solid stream, but it's going to take longer because you have to like really paint. So you can see that it has got some power, huh? This is really for stubborn stuff. I think it's pretty clear which one the winner is. It doesn't get as much coverage, but it does do a nice job and cleared it very well. So this is my side of my neighbor's fence, and I'm just going to pressure wash one slat and see how the 25 degree nozzle does on it, and see if it makes any difference before I do any more. Well, I don't think it takes much to notice that that did a pretty nice job on that one picket. Come back when it's dry and see how it looks. So all around underneath the eaves of my house, this dirt seems to collect every year. I don't know if you can see what that looks like up there, how filthy it is. That's what we're going to try to take care of today. So they don't have any specific rating for doing siding. They say the 25 angle is for decks and fences. So I don't think this is going to be a problem. What you want to be careful with is, I've got this aluminum trim around my windows. Too much pressure might dent that. So I'm going to stay away from that as much as possible. I might hit it with the 40 at some point if I do the whole house. But you might just want to use a scrub, like a soft bristle brush, and just a garden hose to clean around trim like that. And if you have any spots where the siding has holes or cracks, just be careful. Just be tender around it. Don't get too close with the nozzle tip. Alright, I can already tell that it looks way better. It's not perfect. There's still some staining probably. I found a recipe, homemade recipe for a siding cleaner that's just Dawn. I'll put it on the screen. Dawn, vinegar, and mostly water, and then you just push it, spray it onto the house with like a garden sprayer, and it's supposed to help loosen up some dirt. But you know, some of the stuff's probably been there for a while and it's just stained. But I did the soffit and just under the gutters too, and I went to that seam right there, and I mean, it's going to take a couple of rounds probably. There's some gross water dripping out of there, but it's a start. I think that works pretty well. Probably do the whole house like that maybe next weekend. So I know someone's going to ask how high they can reach on their siding with this pressure washer from the ground. Now the peak of my roof is roughly, it's somewhere between 16 and 17 feet. So that's almost 2 stories on some houses. My house is just a 1 story with a peak on the end. So we're going to start with the 25 degree and then step it down to 15 and then 0 and just see how much difference I can make. I don't know if you can see, there's some dirt on the underside of the rows, and I'm gonna see if I can get some of that off with one of the nozzles. All right, we're still on the 25 degree nozzle, and that is doing absolutely nothing. All right, we got the 15 on there. I would estimate with the 15 that I was maybe getting some cleaning action about 10 feet up. It wasn't doing anything. You really need to be 6 to 8 inches away to get most stuff off, especially if it's been there for a while. But we're gonna go to 0. Now that's reaching all the way to the peak with water, but there's no pressure behind it. Although I am getting that dirt right there. That dirt right there is coming off a little bit. I mean, it looks better than it did, that's for sure. I don't know, I got some stuff off. I'd say maybe 14 feet in the air. Would I recommend it for pressure washing the 2nd story of your house from the ground? No, I don't think it's gonna get you there. All right, next I'm gonna power wash my garbage can. I don't know if you can see how filthy it is from the garbage truck rubbing up on it. And see if I can't get a lot of that stuff off. There's just dry hair and cobwebs and God knows what else. So we're gonna pressure wash that. Now if you think about what people pay to have a service come and do this for them, this machine would pay for itself in just a few cleanings. I'm just gonna do the front for now, but it would be nice to do the whole thing inside and out at some point, maybe with some like Mr. Clean or some other detergent. I'm going to try the 25 degree head. See how that works. It's doing okay, but I'm going to step it up to the 15 degree. This just may be one of those things that won't come clean, but we're going to try the 0. I expect some splashback here, so I'm going to stand far away for a second. I think it's safe to say that it's going to need either a scrub brush or that stuff is on there permanently. Because if that's not taking it off, nothing's going to without some elbow grease. All right, we're going to pressure wash this square of concrete. It's about, I think it's 4 feet by 4 feet. I'll measure it in a minute. But we're going to switch the tip from the 40 degree, and we're going to go to the suggested 15 degree for concrete. And we're going to time how long it takes us. I'm going to go about halfway instead of doing the whole thing. Maybe we'll be able to see more of a difference. Now I've used some commercial grade gas powered pressure washers to wash concrete. That's really what you want if you're doing a whole driveway. You don't want to use this thing. It's not what it's made for. It's not what it's designed for. But if you just need to do one small section, it seems like it's doing okay. I just don't know how the motor's going to hold up. Alright, we're at about 3.5 minutes it took to do half of that concrete square. All right, let's talk a little bit about some preventative maintenance we can do to prolong the life of this machine. Let's be honest, a lot of people are just going to throw it in the garage, the hose, the cord all in a rat's nest in the corner, and they're going to let it sit, and it's going to sit with water, and then it's going to freeze over the winter, and it's going to crack the pump on the inside. Now I'll show you what I have done to prevent that from happening. My first 4 or 5 years using an electric pressure washer, I used this pump saver from Briggs & Stratton, and this is basically just an antifreeze that lubricates the inside, and it also mixes with any water that's still in there and causes it to not freeze. So what you do is attach this end to the garden hose inlet, and then you pop the cap off the top and you press that button, and it shoots a foam through the system out the front. As soon as you see some white foam coming out the front, it's mixed enough. This stuff works great, but it does not get all the air and water out of your pressure hose. So what I started using is one of these air connectors that you connect to an air compressor and either the inlet of your pressure washer or your garden hose, or what these are sold for, or where you'll find them at the store like Walmart or Home Depot, is the RV section for blowing out RV water lines. So what I would do then is connect this directly to the pressure washer and run compressed air through the whole system, through the pump, through the hose, through the gun, and that gets out just about all the air. So I've got another quick connect that I keep it attached to. So there, I've got that. So the first thing you want to do is make sure your water's turned off. Take your gun, relieve some of the pressure. I'm going to disconnect the hose. You can see I've got the air line over here, and then I've got my air hose here. I have my air compressor set to 40 psi because these are not made for strong pressure, unlike the rest of the stuff for the pressure washer. This side is not designed for that, and this connector is not designed for that. So 40 psi is plenty. It's just going to move all the water through the system. All right, so I got the air connected. Now I've got the gun, and we're just going to pull the trigger. You can see all the water coming out. The air is pushing it all the way through, and there it goes. Let the air build up a little bit more. And let it get all the way to the end. We'll let it pressurize one more time and call it good, but you get the idea. Okay, now we're going to disassemble the gun. Make sure you let any remaining air pressure out of the gun, otherwise you'll get a nice pop when you unscrew it. Take this hose off. Disassemble that. We're going to disconnect the air line. And you get the point. We're going to wrap everything up. Now, my tip for the hose is if you try to leave it connected, which is convenient, and wrap it up on the back, it's just not going to work. This hose doesn't want to flex that much. It's going to be hard to twist and get it into a nice coil. I suggest just disconnecting it, put the black cap that came on it back on to keep debris out, and then wrap this up in a nice coil. But stretch it out nice and long on your driveway, and as you're wrapping it, allow water, gravity to flow out the other side in case there's any water still left inside, or if you're not blowing it out, to get as much water out as you can. This one will fight you a little bit, but that stores nicely right there. Avoid the temptation to just wrap this around your hand. That's how the wires inside will deteriorate and break over time. Alright, now it's ready to go away. To give you a size comparison, here it is next to a 5-gallon bucket. It's almost the same size. Without the wheels, it would fit inside of it. It weighs in at 13 pounds, which is significantly lighter than any other pressure washer I've ever used. So this is nice and convenient to just grab it off the shelf. Here it is on a shelf in my garage. You can see it fits perfectly between 2 wall studs. So if you got a shelf like mine with exposed studs, it's a great place to put it. Nice and secure, not going to roll off. Very convenient. This unit is compact. It is quite small. It's super easy to store in a small garage. It's super easy to set up. The foam cannon was a nice bonus, something you don't have to buy extra. If there's anything that I could say I would change, it's the hose. It could be a little bit longer and a better quality. I just feel like it's going to eventually wear a hole in it, dragging it across concrete. And the electric power cord, it could be a little bit longer. That would be nice too. It would be easier to reach an outlet versus having to use an extension cord to get to further away places, because I don't have a plug on every surface of the outside of my house. If your primary goal is going to be washing cars, cleaning small patios, maybe some siding or outdoor furniture, and other general household pressure washing needs like garbage cans, this is going to be perfect for you. If you want to pressure wash a large house or a long fence or a big driveway, I don't recommend this for that. Definitely get yourself something bigger, rent it, whatever you have to do. This is probably going to burn up. It's going to take you forever, or it's going to die first. Not sure which one. Well guys, I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you liked it enough that you want to see more content like it, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.